got question marks all over you.
Yes.
I'm seeing a lot of questions. Let's see if they're just sending any answers beforehand. And then we'll definitely like have time for all your questions. But let's
Okay.
just see like okay, I'm hearing rejoice, you're on your path. And you're like at this point they said you're like a peony. You're opening, but there's so many layers of petals in there
Mhm.
that you the more you open, the more you realize there's a lot to open. So they're like, don't worry.
Mhm.
That's what you set up for yourself. Um, they you actually designed your life to be a little confusing as you're coming into alignment with your um, because you have so they said if you look back in your life, the times when you've had major growth before the aha moment and realizing you've had a lot of confusion.
Mhm.
That's the way you hit your epiphanies. It's not just, oh, everything's good, everything's bland, suddenly I grow.
Mhm.
The For you, you're such a scholar, researcher mentality that you need the confusion to give you that booster to kick it up to the
Hmm.
next level. So embrace this within yourself. Does this make sense?
It does.
Okay,
Yes.
good. They said embrace this within yourself. And whenever you hit like the frustration of confusion, realize that the frustration comes from just like a toddler trying to walk
Mhm.
and they're still lurching around and they want to get from here to there, but they're like having to grab everything.
Mhm.
It's you again and again and again in your life become that toddler. You're like, wait a minute,
Okay.
why am I back here again? To you, it feels like you're backsliding,
Mhm.
but it's not. This is your your impetus to go forward because that toddler cycle is very uncomfortable for you.
Mhm.
And when you are comfortable, you don't grow, you enjoy.
Mhm.
So you need to create the discomfort. So this is part of your divine order of things. And they said every time you hit confusion, frustration, discomfort, rejoice, because that means you're going to go forward. That's like,
Letting me know.
yeah, like when the alarm clock goes off, or maybe like in the morning, and you're like, I want to hit the snooze alarm, but and you might hit it a few times, but you got to get up, and then you have a wonderful day.
Mhm.
It's just, it's think of it that way.
Okay.
Uh, um, okay, there's a woman coming forward. She's got a spear in her hand, and this is one of your past lives, and she wants to introduce herself to you
Mhm.
right away. She's a warrior. She is like, she says from the Congo, but no one knew such words as Congo back in her time. She
Mhm.
just wants you to know where geographically
Okay.
she is. And she's showing that many animals that are fighting to stay on our planet now were in abundance in her time. She's showing what looks like an ostrich kind of animal, big, or
Mhm.
emu, or no bigger than an emu, just big.
Mhm.
And she said in her life she traveled a lot. She could run really fast, and she was um, very true with her strike. With like she's got like a sort of a bow and arrow thing and a dart thing and a spear and um, she even like twines vines to make like a whip sort of thing and she's got daggers. This woman is like riddled with weapons and she's got weapons like tied to her body and hanging off her body because she's on the road so much.
Mhm.
She knows what she needs. But and she's going to explain why in a moment, but because she's on the road, she's seen many great wonders. And she says, "Are you jealous?" She said, "There's a reason she's with you in this life,
Wow.
because you and she have many of the same motivators. And
Interesting.
she's in this life to always remind you that your curiosity will never be satiated. So you must always seek out adventures.
That's awesome.
Don't ever be complacent." Um, and
That's great.
she's very cool. So she says, you know, white people, and by white she means anyone who's not black. She says white people think of her people as primitive. They do not understand that at her time there was a great empire before the corruption of slavers and all of that. So she's long ago.
Yeah.
We're talking like at least 1,000 years ago. So you've been around for a while.
Okay.
You're not
Fresh.
no, you're not. She says, "No, you are fresh
Oh.
because have such a fresh persona, but you are not new to life."
Okay.
She says, "You're not stale."
Good.
She's like pretty witty, very witty. So she would like escort dignitaries from one place to another, and she says that there was like again, we think of them as just like small, isolated groups of primitive people. And she said it wasn't like that. They had a vast kingdom with emissaries that traveled all across, the great African continent and beyond. So she was like someone who would escort or take messages because she could be trusted. She says, "Trust is everything. Without trust, you have no value." And she says, "What does it take to be someone who can be trusted?" It takes someone who knows who they are in their core being, so they know what they will stand for and what they will stand by, and someone who will hold their word no matter what, someone who will stand within their column of truth no matter what. And she says, when you are in your truth, you are so powerful that people might push against your column, but they can't topple it, and then they will back away. Because when they push, instead of toppling you over, they activate your light, and your light shines so bright that they either step into the light of truth or they back away. And she says, this is why she is with you now, because you got too many people pushing you on all sides. And this is why I woke up with vertigo. Okay, not real thrilled with this. She says you have vertigo on a soul level right now, because you got everyone pushing you on all sides, and you're like, where's my truth? And okay, so she's saying, listen to what comes up in this hour. She's going to step back now and then come back later. She hasn't given me her name because it's not a name. It's like,
okay.
To me, it'll just sound like sounds. Okay. But okay, I'll describe you. She's tall. Now, again, I'm seeing her from her perspective, so I have no idea what she would look like compared to us. But from her perspective, she's tall, she's lean, she likes her bosom. She's got like long legs that can run for hours. Yes, and she's just got like lean, strong muscles and like this afro that she has, like some of it is out and some of it is braided. Just very beautiful decoration with some like beads and shells that hang from it. But she says not when she needs to run. When she needs to run, she just likes to have as little as possible on her. Or if she needs to have her head decoration because she's like going to meet with someone, she wraps
Mm-hmm.
some. It's interesting because, I don't really think of people 1,000 years ago in Africa having cloth, but they had cloth.
Mm-hmm.
They did weavings.
Okay.
But she's showing like all the different kinds of cloth. They used leather. They used like fronds from plants,
Mm-hmm.
which she's showing some of it was really malleable. They knew how to use all the different plants for all the different kinds of weaving for every kind of purpose, including straining liquids and even more delicate for like headbands and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And they had cloth, but I'm not sure what it would have been made from.
Mm-hmm.
So very interesting. Um, and she's showing they made ceramics, and she's like, we had a very advanced civilization. So she said her greatest value was her ability to get from here to there
Mm-hmm.
because she would just run without looking left, without looking right. She said sometimes she looked, but she would get into this space where she's here and she wants to be there. And she would just like all her focus would be on getting there. And then all the everything all around and the time and the exhaustion did not exist.
Mm.
And she says this is something that you need in your life, not for the running per se, although she wants you outdoors in nature more. Um, but she said in ways that's comfortable for you as you are gaining your health. But getting through your life because you have so many people who are just like hanging off you all the time and grabbing you and pulling you that you're like, I'm trying to get there. Um, yes. Does this make sense?
Okay.
Okay. So she wishes you to meet her in dream time.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine her life while she's a child. And I don't know anything about the area that we now call the Congo,
Mm-hmm.
but imagine the animals there and animals within several hundred miles outside, or she's like greater.
Mm-hmm.
She's seen elephants, she's seen giant snakes, she's seen like,
Wow.
giraffes and,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of monkeys and apes and gorillas and chimpanzees and all kinds of cats and fishes and birds.
Mm.
She's seen so much because she doesn't get bogged down on the in between stuff. She gets to where she wants to go. So she is here with you. Um, she says, don't get frustrated because that's when you abuse yourself. When you feel frustrated, that's when you know that there are things that are not in alignment. So focus on, well, what's not in alignment? Well, I'm taking too much care of these people, I'm doing too much of that, and I'm not doing this. So what does it take for all of your priorities to happen? And usually it's everyone counts on you to take care of stuff that other people can also take care of, or they can take care of themselves. So,
I have to remember that.
yes,
I should do that.
yes, because, um, okay, you're very empathic. So you can see, like, or feel. She said for you, it's very heartfelt. You can feel how to get things done so that if someone's like, oh, I don't know how to do this to get to there, you automatically know how to do it, whereas they're going to waste a lot of time trying this, trying that. The point for them to try to get there is to do all of this messing around, not to get there. It's not the destination, it's the journey situation. You see right away how to get there, but what lessons will they learn if you put them on their back and carry them to their destination? Yes, they will not grow as souls or as people. So you are wearing yourself out
Mm.
and you're not helping them. Now, when you first start saying, oh, I'm sure you can do it on your own, they're going to resent you. And then you'll feel bad because you're a very emotionally connected, heart-centered person. But if you can say to them, how will you grow as a person if I do this for you? I will not be helping you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just be doing something that I'll be depriving you from learning how to do this. You can say, I'll tell you how I would do it, but then you do what you want. And so you tell them how you would do it very briefly. Very briefly, do not. She's like, don't write anything down. Don't make a spreadsheet. Don't draw diagrams. Just like in under 1 minute, tell them and say, feel welcome to check back with me if you need advice. But if they're checking back too much, say, you got to figure this out on your own.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. The other thing is, you have trouble telling people no. No, I can't. So you're like, well, if I arrange this, do this, and this, I'm sure I can like cram it in. And if nothing goes wrong, then it'll be okay. And so learn to say, I'm overbooked. I can't. I wish you good luck. Go check with that person. Because if you did not exist on the planet, they would find another way or another person.
Sure.
Just because you exist doesn't mean that you need to exist under a mountain of other people's expectations or demands.
Okay.
Yeah. You have children?
I do.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God, he's delightful. I mean, trying, I'm sure, but I'm just getting all this like just beautiful love energy flowing down upon him. Yes, he's very special. So, your first priority obviously is your son. Husband and you have your husband and you have to be equal priority to each other. Meaning he should not be more of a priority to you than you are to you, and vice versa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And both of you have a priority to your son and work. Things that pay the bills and give you life outside of home and family. But you have strong connections to your family. Yeah. So you also have strong connections to your ancestors. I feel like your connections to your family are stronger than your husband's to his. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And part of that is your family has very strong ancestral energy. So your ancestors are really looking out for you. And that's a lot of, I'm going to say, a mixed bag of love. As you learn to say no, you have to include your family in that a little bit. Not 100%, obviously, but your family, it feels like they can grow over you and envelop you to the point where you're a little like, wait, I'm a grown woman with other things in my life. But for you, part of it is also learning to sever the negative energies, the guilt, the some childhood memories or past memories that are less favorable, learning to sever those so you can live in the moment with joy. And this is because you're so ancestrally connected. When you were a child and your ancestors were watching you, the emotions you had put out calling cards to different ancestors. So when you had really happy moments, really happy ancestors connected with you. But when you had distressing or sad moments, energy vampire or negative ancestors connected with you. And this is what I mean by it's a mixed bag, because your childhood was meant to be, by soul contract, was meant to be happier than it was, which gave you a feeling of, wait, I feel like things are not the way they should be. I'm getting shortchanged, a little of that. It also, as you're going forward, claiming for yourself a joyous, happy life and really wanting positive relationships with everyone in your family, you need to, yes, you need to do an ancestral ceremony where, and I'll tell you how in a moment, it's not that hard, where you connect with all your ancestors and ask all your loving, positive ancestors send you all their love, and then all of you together send love to the negative ones. They will either absorb the love energy and feel healed, or they will disconnect. This is why, like, people who have a very abusive childhood, or maybe they're really fat, or they're like, whatever, negative stuff, when they get older, they're like, I've been through all this therapy, but I still feel like that little kid is in me. Their ancestors are still connected to them. So they need to disconnect that energy to be fully clear. And one of the effects of this kind of energy is, like, when you meet strangers and they're talking, you accept them in the here and now. But whenever you're with your family and anything happens, it's like, no matter what, happy or unhappy, you have that chain of events going back to so many years. So everything has so much more weight. And when, when it takes just like a small thing will trigger all of that, including the distress of the childhood, frustration of teenage years, and will explode over something so tiny that we would never have a problem with from a stranger. So it's important to get to the point where you are an adult among other adults and some other adults' children and the like. As opposed to part of this formula that's just like a spider web of connections. Does that make sense?
Kind of, yes.
Okay. The way you heal the ancestral energy is it's really great to go outdoors. So you can be looking up at like trees or plants or the sky, and standing, sitting, lying down, however you want. Looking upward is really helpful because we're like looking up to the void, and but it doesn't have to be. That's just, and you do a meditation. You can be silent, speaking, whatever works for you. Get yourself sort of in alignment, and then call out to all of your loving ancestors. They will come. You will perceive them however you're able to perceive them. You may just get a feeling. You may get random thoughts in your mind. You may actually see them. You may hear them. You may just, the more you connect with them, the more they can come in. Ask them to send all their love to you and fill you with love. And then ask them for their help to send love to the unhappy ancestors. and you'll feel the love going into you and out. Most people feel it coming in this way, hitting their heart and going out that way, but however you feel it is how you'll feel it. It's just pretty common to feel loving ancestors on the right side and distressing on the left, but each person relates uniquely, so however it happens, it happens. And do cord cutting ceremonies. Cord cutting is like we're energetically connected to everyone. Cord cutting amplifies and strengthens love, and it releases non-love. They're like, you need to do a lot of cord cutting ceremony because you got all these energy vampires that like glob onto you. I have a few cord cutting ceremonies on my YouTube channel. So check that. I don't want to use up all your time with this, but basically you take your place in a meditation, go to some place where you feel neutral and safe, and then you can call any memory, thought, person, whatever, place to you and see them as they are on sort of their soul level or as you feel connected to them. And then look in your hand, some kind of cutting implement will be there. It may be a sword, it might be scissors, it might be, even a stick, or it might just be your hand. It's like, you're like, wow, my hand's super sharp, whatever. And you see the lines of energy between you and this, and you cut. You might cut all around yourself. Some people see a lightsaber or even a feather, but whatever it is, this is your way to release non-love and strengthen love. If there's nothing between you and them, you realize, wow, there's no love in our relationship. It's good to have it severed. This is especially good to do before going to corporate meetings or stuff work related. And they're saying for you in the morning, like you can get to the point where it's like within a minute you've done a whole ceremony. It's pretty, like once you know how to be there and have it, like I'll often cord cut between clients just to make sure when the next client comes in, everything is fresh for them. Shamans I work with, they cord cut like in the morning when they wake up, at night when they go to bed, and multiple times throughout the day. Because shamans are people of great power, so all kinds of energies jump on them. So, yes. You're going to find your power really expanding, by the way. And they're saying don't think of yourself as clumsy or accident prone or incapable of things. When you start doing cord cutting, you'll realize how much of those thoughts are from outside influences pushed in on you, as opposed to how you really see yourself. Interesting. Yes. So there's a woman coming forward, and she's in a fancy